Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Law Lounge with Silva with your favorite criminal defense attorney here in Los Angeles. All right, you guys. So Mark Garagos, who is the main attorney for Lyle and Eric Menendez, came out and said that he believed that the parole process for the brothers was rigged. Now, let me catch you up. Eric and Lyle Menendez were denied parole. One was denied parole on Thursday, the other on Friday. Both are going to be reconsidered for parole in 3 years. Now, the basis for Eric's denial was different than Lyle's denial. Eric's denial was based on how he was doing in prison. There were a lot of cell phone infractions that happened. He was part of a kind of like a tax scheme with other inmates. And they also talked about the fact that not only did they kill their father, who was the one that was sexually molesting them, allegedly, but they also killed their mother, who really, by everyone's beliefs, had really nothing to do with the sexual abuse. So the parole board, instead of giving another 10 years for Eric to be considered for parole, had him to be reconsidered in about 3 years. And hopefully by then, he'll be released. Lyle, it was a little bit of a different issue. Lyle had less infractions in prison. He actually had better conduct, but the parole board used the language of a psychologist and stated that the psychologist actually doubted Lyle's lack of violence if he were to be out. And that's really interesting. The parole board really does use psychologists' findings in making sure that once the person is released from prison, they're not a danger to the general public. They consider psychologist reports, they consider how they're doing in prison, how remorseful they are, and whether they think that the brothers have rehabilitated. It's a big loss for us who really did want the brothers released. I do believe they were sexually molested. I do believe the brothers should have never killed their mother. The fact of the matter is they were really young when it happened, and they have served over 35 years. I do believe that they have shown rehabilitation, and there are always infractions in state prison. The sad thing is when you've served decades in prison, there are certain things inmates feel they have to do to stay safe. And I do believe that the brothers there was no violence between them with other inmates. They didn't have those types of problems. Their problems really were a cell phone, which I don't know an inmate, honestly, that doesn't have a cell phone when they're in state prison, and also just stupid schemes that got them in trouble. I would love to hear your opinions, and let's check in again. We'll see what happens in the courtroom process. Let's not forget there's also a habeas petition pending. So the brothers could even be pardoned by the governor, or the judge can actually rule in their favor as well. I actually believe that they're probably going to stay in for the next 3 years. I don't believe Governor Newsom, at this point when he has political aspirations, will release them, but I would love to hear your opinions. All right, you guys, take care.